And gender affirming care is literally suicide prevention care.
There's a secret information.
The Pride people have taken over, and what are they chanting in the streets during their parade? It's not helping their cause. The Trump tapes are out. What's on them? What do they sound like? We'll play it for you coming up. Also, Joe Biden denies now doing business with Hunter, but a while ago he said he would never talk to Hunter. Is there a correlation between that? All that and more coming up on this episode of Daily Call Live. Thanks so much for tuning in. My name is Jobob. Daily Call Live starts right now.
2, 1.
Here we go!
Might be the only brown guy on earth named Jobob.
That is actually her name, Jobob.
Ooh, live from the dingy bunker, completely cut off from the outside world, except for you. Fine. So, my name is Jobob. This is Daily Call Live. Thanks so much for tuning in on today. It is Tuesday, June 27th, the year of our Lord 2023. A lot to catch you up on. The infamous Trump tapes, the secret reporting where he's talking about private information or secret information, classified documents, is out. We'll play that for you. Interesting. For some reason, and I don't know if this is my own personal bias, I read the transcript of it and was like, oh, this is not good. And then I heard the audio, and I don't know if it's because I already read what was in it or because Hunter has since been let off with a Happy Meal deal. But I heard it, I was like, interesting. Not really all that moving emotionally. But before we get to that, got to get to this stuff because I think this is kind of overtaking the news as of right now. Y'all remember Rachel Levine? Rachel is the Assistant Secretary for Health in the Health and Human Services Department of the United States of America. Rachel was born Richard Levine and says some interesting things about transitioning your kids. First things first, let me play this. This is just an intro thing that I thought was interesting here. Just watch this.
Hello, my name is Admiral Rachel Levine, and I have the honor of being the Assistant Secretary for Health at the United States Department of Health and Human Services. Happy Pride. Happy Pride Month, and actually, let's declare it a summer of pride. Happy Summer of Pride.
Okay, so the thing that I think is interesting about that particular clip, why we played a little intro of it, is one, is a month not long enough? Do we have to make it the entire summer? Do we have to do that? I'd say no. But also, Rachel, born Richard, let me level set this. It's taken a while. Been on this for a couple months now, but it's taken a while to get to the place where Ben Shapiro was at 10 years ago. In other words, I'll call you whatever name you want. I don't care. If you want to be called Trogdor, fine. Who cares? But also, at the same time, you don't get to just pick what thing exists and make me say it. So I will call this person Rachel, but not refer to her as a her. Shoot. This stuff is so freaking confusing. But anyways, aside of all that, Rachel is the Deputy Health Secretary, and regardless of the trans stuff, regardless of the mental health issues that are clearly prevalent, is an overweight, middle-aged former dude really the epitome of health in this country? This kind of goes back to this whole Joe Rogan debate with this vaccine scientist that refuses to come on his show and debate a guy. Joe Rogan and RFK Jr. are in pretty dang good shape, and the vaccine guy is not. We'll say that to say the least. He's not at all. So outside of the probably just hiring Rachel because it checks a box for the administration, outside of the cultural thing that is the trans is everywhere all the time, the health people probably shouldn't be overweight. I don't know, just a thought. But then Rachel goes on to say this, and this is where I think a lot of Americans take exception and have a problem, things that they have a problem with. Watch this.
You know, it's such an important issue for our youth and adults. As you said, some of these laws are actually extending into adulthood. You know, we often say that gender affirming care is health care. Gender affirming care is mental health care, and gender affirming care is literally suicide prevention care. Would that be your view as well?
I 100% agree.
I don't know who that is, but interesting. So, statistically speaking, none of that's accurate. Just we'll lay that out on its face right there. The weird thing about this modern media culture is that there is this belief among people who believe things that aren't true, that if you say them enough and loud enough and repetitively enough, that all of a sudden it will become true. I think they think that because they believe in this normalization thing of, well, the reason that the statistics surrounding what we're arguing for are what they are is because there's a lack of acceptance. So if we say it enough times, we will overcome the lack of acceptance and therefore curtail these statistics. That, I think, just plainly on its face, a bad approach. Inaccurate, wrong. And this is, again, you know, feelings aside of the trans thing. One, the DSM-5, which categorizes all mental health issues and disorders and all of that sort of stuff, still has transgenderism or gender dysphoria still is a mental disorder. Again, neither here nor there, just saying what it is. And on top of that, to then say that transitioning kids is a suicide prevention, again, is just statistically not accurate. I think the statistic is out there that people who end up getting transition surgery, like the whole shebang, even though you can't change any of the DNA in every single cell in your body, you can, I guess, anatomically change yourself. Even those people have about the same amount of self-harm as they did before transitioning, which is substantially higher than the just general population. Now, you can get into a lot of reasons as to why that is, but to say that the biggest and most influential factor is because society doesn't accept it is irresponsible, it would seem. Like, highly irresponsible. There is something going on a deeper level, probably a reaction to some sort of trauma. And we've talked about this at length before, so we won't get into it entirely again. Probably a big response, a trauma response, and that is just flying under the radar because we're focused on these weird surfacey level things. So again, I think the biggest thing here is this whole media game being played as to, if you say it enough times, it will become true. That has not been the case now. It's never been the case. Human nature doesn't change. And also, just from a statistics standpoint, I think it was like 5 years ago, somebody tweeted this out. 5 years ago, it was like 0.007% of people experienced gender dysphoria, or some crazy low number. And now among teens, especially girls, it's like 5%, which is just not, that's not real. they'll argue that, well, the reason that the number has jumped is because it's now more acceptable and more people are willing to step forward because they're not in fear of being ostracized. Nah, that doesn't account for that. That kind of jump is not accounted for by overwhelming amount of acceptance. It's accounted for by mental contagion sweeping across the nation, especially with how the media's handling it. Anyways, we'll leave that there, but on the same topic, want to get to this because this is freaking interesting. Some of the marchers in the New York, was this New York or Seattle? I don't remember. One of the pride parades that happened over the weekend. You may have seen this video already. You may have heard the audio from it. Started chanting, "We're coming for your children." I want you to play this video. I want to play this video, and then we'll discuss on the other side. Check it out. All right. So that video obviously is getting a ton of attention around the media scope. Now, I am a little bit more charitable to the people in this video than I think a lot of other people around this topic are. In a world where poking the bear and stoking the flame is of utter importance, it would appear, and I think some of the people in this have said as much, it would appear that by the looks of their faces and all of those things, they were satirically attempting to mock people like you and I who say, hey, you're coming for our kids. Now, the problem with that is that the joke didn't land, like, at all. In other words, if half the country thinks that you are coming for their kids in serious tones, it's really hard to poke fun at that and not sound sincere. For example, when Saturday Night Live hits their own side, which is rare, they'll do it in a way that, like, all right, we like this person, but 90% of people agree with us on this, that we're not actually trying to do this. We don't actually think this. Whereas in this case, every action taken by a lot of the big radicals in literal power are lining up to look very much like they're quote unquote coming for your kids. So in other words, trying to satirize it and make fun of concerned Republicans or conservatives or whatever, the joke doesn't land, which is fascinating to me that somebody thought that would be a good idea. I would imagine that a lot of people on the sane side, the LGBs of the world who are just trying to live their lives and, I don't know, be as accepted as possible in society, which I believe in pretty much everywhere in this country they are looking at this. I think those people are looking at this going, oh, dude, you can't chant the exact thing we're being accused of and believed by 50% of the country. It doesn't work from a satirical standpoint. Now, the whole coming for your kids thing is just a fascinating cultural phenomenon. I was talking to, where were we? I was talking to somebody on last week. Doesn't matter. Talking about the Ron DeSantis Black history queer theory thing. If you remember a couple months ago, Ron DeSantis in the DeSantis administration said, hey, we're not going to teach this particular African American studies course as it has a big section on queer theory. And what the hell does queer theory have to do with African American studies? Of course, the media went nuts on that. They were like, you're banning Black history, which is just objectively not true. It's part of the curriculum. It's mandatory to teach it. So I don't even want to entertain that with an argument. But it dawned on me while I was having this conversation a while ago that, you know what would be fascinating is if, and I'm just using demographics here. Just using demographics here to illustrate a point. I think it would be fascinating to take the queer theory section of the Black History class and go teach it to Black kids who have Black parents. See how well that would go over. Just as a social experiment, right? The people who, quote unquote, aren't trying to force this into areas where it doesn't fit and preaching acceptance and all of that sort of stuff. Just what I know of my friends, my Black friends and the friends in the my friends in the minority community as a whole, I guess, which I know is not a monolith, but I'm just saying, make an attempt to teach the queer theory studies part, which is the reason the African American studies class got X'd. Go ahead and teach that to inner city Black kids. Go ahead and teach that to any minority group. Go ahead and teach it. Go to a predominantly Samoan school, or I don't know where you'd find that one of those. Go to Carson and teach it there. See what happens. I would imagine the people that you claim to be arm in arm with are not going to be on your side when that stuff actually gets implemented on their kids. But anyways, enough of that. I want to move on to not even lighter fare, just interesting stuff. I want to play you this. I want to play you this clip. This is cut out from a much longer piece of audio, but this is the infamous Trump classified documents clip. We all read about this when he was indicted, 2 weeks ago now, 3 weeks ago? I don't even remember. When Trump was indicted, we all read about this audio, but nobody had ever heard it. For some reason in my head, as I was explaining at the beginning of the show, it seems that the hearing of this piece of audio, in my mind, softened the blow. Okay, so Trump gets indicted for storing classified documents. There is a transcript of something that he said, like, I could have declassified these when I was president, but I can't now. That whole thing, right? You probably all heard of that. It doesn't sound good for the president. And I don't know what this is in my own mind. I don't know if this is my own personal bias, my own looking at the Hunter sweetheart deal and going, all right, I guess we're just not being fair here. Oh, by the way, I'm going to tell you a funny story about fairness. I don't know what it is, but I heard this audio and I knew it existed. I knew what Trump did, probably not great. And yet I heard this and thought, oh, all right. And yet I don't know where that's coming from. I don't know if that's because I already knew it, because I just, the consistency thing, I don't know what it is, but I heard this audio and that's just the reaction that I had. So listen to this and we will discuss on the other side. It's difficult to hear. So we're going to get through the whole thing. It's a little bit longish, but just so you know, it's difficult to hear, and we'll, sum it up as much as possible at the end.
Yeah. I just found, isn't that amazing? This totally wins my case, you know. Mm-hmm. Except it is like highly confidential, secret. There's a secret information. Look at this. You attack, and
Hillary would print that out all the time.
She sent it to Anthony Weiner, the pervert. By the way, isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
I was just saying, because we were talking about it. And he said he wanted to attack Iran and what? He's in the papers. This was done by the military, given to me. I think we can probably, right?
We'll have to see. Yeah, we'll try to
figure out See, as president, I could have declassified it. Now I can't, but this is classified.
Now we have a problem.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
It's so cool. I mean, it's so, we here I have, and you probably almost didn't believe me, but now you believe me.
No, I believe
it's incredible, right?
No,
hey, bring some Cokes in, please.
Okay, so I'm listening to it again, and I'm trying to think like, here's why I think that it lessens the blow for some reason. In print, you can read it seriously, but in the audio, you've got reporters laughing. You've got an old guy who is clearly just showing off. Now, should he have taken those? Probably not. My guess would be no, but I'm not in that whole thing. But I think what, for some reason, again, softens the blow for at least me, and I don't know what America's feeling on this is going to be, is that it's like, all right, no, here's what it is. I'm putting the pieces together in my head right now. The narrative of Trump is trying to sell American secrets abroad, which is what I think a lot of your MSNBC channels, CNN, all of those networks are saying. Well, he was an agent of Russia, or Putin. Was that whole thing that has turned out to be debunked so often. In my mind, that whole piece of the narrative is pretty dang disproved by the levity of the conversation here. If you're asking, well, why did he keep secret information, classified documents? Was it to sell to our adversaries, to profit for himself? Yeah, no. I think I can definitively, after listening to that, go, should he have done it? Probably not. But also, is he an agent of the foreign adversaries of the United States of America trying to sell the documents? Also, no. This is clearly an old guy showing off. Have you met old guys? They love to show off. I'm just saying how it is. If you're an old guy watching this, I guarantee you've got that thing in your garage that you're so proud of. I don't know, your fly fishing collection, your picture when you shook hands with Nixon. I don't know. Whatever it is, old guys like to do that sort of thing. And Trump is a noted memorabilia enthusiast. So, again, I don't know if it's my own personal bias. I don't know what it is, but I hear that and I go, all right, he just had some stuff that he wasn't supposed to have. This isn't a national security issue of like, we're gonna leak the plans of how we're gonna invade Canada to Iran. It's just a dude showing off. Again, that doesn't lessen the, hey, you shouldn't have taken the documents and kept them. Yeah, probably shouldn't have done that. But the whole idea that he was going to sell them to profit for himself at the expense of the lives of the American people. Yeah, it's a tough sell for me, dog. So there's that. Interesting. I guess we'll see what the fallout is from that. Interestingly enough, a lot of the lefty media didn't really have this as a huge block of their segments. MSNBC didn't run with this. CNN didn't run with this. The alphabet networks, I think, briefly touched on it, but this wasn't the head story. And I think because they spent so much time saying he's trying to enrich himself by selling our secrets. It's just, nah, dude. He's just an excited old guy. So there's that. Last, I think, but not, well, you know what? No, I guess we'll continue on with this thing. This is not long. This is just what I think is fascinating about this whole narrative thing about Joe Biden. So KJP, we played this yesterday, refused to answer any questions regarding Hunter, and Joe Biden said, I'm going to refer you to the White House counsel. The White House counsel also didn't answer any of the questions. Did Joe Biden participate in business? But they did change the verbiage around this. So forever, it's been Joe Biden, even on the campaign trail, saying, I've never discussed business with my son, Hunter, right? It was always, I never discussed it. I never discussed. That's been what's parroted from the White House press briefing room. It's from his campaign. It's from everybody. Now, the verbiage in the dialogue has changed to, I was never in business with my son, Hunter. which is quite different from I never discussed it. So by default, is that an omission that he did discuss business with Hunter? And if they lied about that, what else are they lying about? All of those things. We don't need to play this video. It's just Joe Biden. Somebody pressing him on it when he's walking off a stage, and he just says, no, I'm not doing those things. Let's see. We'll end on this because I thought this was funny. There's no commentary necessary here. I'm just playing KJP and her thoughts about how the American people feel as a whole. Again, with the NBC polling coming out yesterday that 73% of Americans believe that the country is off track. With those numbers in your head, listen to this.
People is currently dealing with. But look, 13 million jobs, again, when you think about how Americans feel better about their personal finances, that is important. When you think about wages are going up, when you think about the really good paying, millions of good paying jobs, that union jobs that his policies are going to create.
Yeah. Just because you know how Americans are feeling better about their finances. I don't know. Just thought it was funny. But such is this clown world that we're currently existing in. Maybe I'll bring I got a ticket yesterday in LA, and maybe I'll tell that story tomorrow. But it's quite funny and quite ironic. We were in LA shooting a documentary for the Daily Caller. Really, really excited about it. It's going to be a really, really interesting piece. Kind of talking about the defund the police movement and all of that. So that when that goes live, I will notify you all here. If you haven't already, give me a follow on any of your social media accounts. Just type in JOBOB, be able to find me there, and also get access to the awesome Daily Caller documentary on defunding the police. We've gone to Austin. We're in LA right now, and we'll be going to New York at the end of the week. So that's going to be really, really cool. Get any of the latest updates. You can follow me on any of these social media platforms. But that'll do it for us today. Appreciate you sticking around, tuning in. Anything else? Nope, that's it. See you tomorrow, same time, same place. God bless America.